one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have our moment of silence, which has been our custom for many, many years for all of those serving here and abroad to return home safely to their families. And a roll call. Mr. Bierman?
Here.
Mr. Camerata?
Oh, beautiful.
Miss Grover?
Yes, here.
Miss Hockman?
Yes.
And Mr. Carley? Here.
You look wonderful.
I always look wonderful.
Let's see, Charles.
That's what my mother said on November the 10th, 1966.
Wonderful. So, Mayor, next on the agenda, we have the open public meeting statement. I'll read that aloud. In compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, notice of this meeting was given by way of annual notice filed with the Township Clerk, the Home News Tribune, the North-South Brunswick Sentinel, and the Trenton Times, and posted on the bulletin board in the South Brunswick Municipal Building on January 11th, 2024. Next on the agenda, we have the address from the floor. Is there a motion to open to the public?
I'll make a motion that we open to the public.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak? Please come on up to the podium and just state your name for the record.
Hi. My name is Tracy Mealy. I'm here tonight with my husband and my friend Christine to bring attention to a public safety concern that I have regarding Amtrak. My husband Neil and I moved to Kendall Park 17 years ago with our two beautiful boys, Joseph and Matthew, and they were 4 and 2 at the time. My husband is a physician who works as an attending and as the assistant director of the pediatric emergency department at Robert Wood Johnson in New Brunswick. He also sits on the New Jersey State Council for Emergency Services for Children. My son Joseph is currently a senior honor student at Fairleigh Dickinson University, majoring in computer science. As for me, I've been blessed to be able to stay home with our children while they were growing up. They are both autistic and required a lot of therapy and advocacy. In my free time, I volunteered extensively at the Brunswick Acres School as a room mom and for fundraising and in the library, and also worked as a substitute teacher. I also served as a board member for the Special Education Association in South Brunswick School District for several years. I helped to organize a garbage cleanup in Timber Ponds, and currently volunteer for the Friends of the South Brunswick Public Library. And thanks to Joan Camposano, am a newly minted Columbiette at St. Augustine. In short, we have made Kendall Park our home in the past 17 years. With regard to Amtrak, we live 1 mile from the Northeast Corridor. I mentioned our two children, Joseph and Matthew. On August 22nd last year, our beautiful Matthew left our house after we had all gone to bed in his pajamas, his beloved Myrtle Beach hoodie, and his bright blue Nikes. He ran down Henderson Road, he crossed Route 1, he ran through Royal Oaks, continued running to Black Horse Lane, where he breached the fence of the train tracks, and he ended his life. This is Matthew. The name Matthew means a gift of God, and that's exactly what he was. Matthew was a brilliant thinker and student. He had a wonderful, dry sense of humor. He was incredibly playful, extraordinarily athletic, and wonderfully affectionate. He played the viola, he ran track and cross country, was a gifted artist and programmer who loved astronomy and was 2 days away from attending his first semester as a freshman at Stevens Institute as a computer science major. It goes without saying that we are absolutely devastated. We just try to get through the day, and sometimes we just still do that 1 minute at a time. I set up a memorial for Matthew on the train fence next to Amtrak the access road on Black Horse Lane. As you can imagine, it's an extremely difficult place to be. But I feel compelled to be there as his mother, nonetheless. It's my job. I cry, and I pray, and I scream. And yes, a few times I've taken my anger out on that big damn Amtrak sign. So if one day it looks like someone took a crowbar to it or it's just missing, it was me. While attending to Matthew's memorial, I couldn't help but notice a few things. And one is that while there are 24 or so no trespassing signs on the fence, there are no signs with mental health messaging or the National Suicide Hotline number. I also can't help but notice the inadequacy of the fence itself, which I have breached multiple times myself to clean garbage up around the memorial I set up. Before I continue, I want to make it clear that we do not blame Amtrak in any way for Matthew's tragic passing. I'm only wondering how many other deaths by suicide there had been on the rails, and with the infrastructure money, tens of billions of dollars that Amtrak is receiving, what are their plans for suicide mitigation? So I started to look up this question, and in the interest of time, I'll just mention a few things. I first went to Amtrak's website to see if anything they had publicly stated with regard to suicide prevention on the rails, and what their intentions were, if any, in utilizing infrastructure dollars toward that cause. Amtrak lays out what they describe as a new era in rail, but there's no mention of suicide prevention. Secondly, I discovered the Volpe Center, which is a research arm within the Federal Department of Transportation whose sole purpose is to research suicide on the rails. They collaborate with countries worldwide to share best practices in suicide mitigation. I have been working with Scott Gabri at the Volpe Center, and he has advised me that Amtrak's not been in touch with them to use them as a resource for suicide prevention. Lastly, I came across a safety advisory that was issued by the Federal Transit Administration. It's this safety advisory here. And it is not a mandate, but it does compel transit agencies to implement, update, or expand suicide prevention signage and messaging campaigns that apply best practices for reducing suicide attempts on the rails. And these measures are conspicuously absent on Black Horse Lane, where we lost Matthew. I feel like Amtrak has missed several opportunities to keep the most fragile citizens of South Brunswick safe from the rails. And I don't have the confidence that they intend to use their newfound financial windfall for this purpose. I feel as though towns like South Brunswick, who act as a host to the Northeast Corridor, which is Amtrak's busiest, most profitable corridor, have to advocate for public safety. Like any host, you hope to have a congenial guest. Am I a grieving mom who's trying to find purpose in my pain? I roll. Yeah, I am. But I think I'm right. And if you agree, I hope you'll join me in taking my concerns to Bonnie Watson-Coleman and to help make Amtrak accountable to help keep the citizens of South Brunswick safe. I'd like to see a more adequate fence on Black Horse Lane. I'd like to see mental health messaging and the National Suicide Hotline number on Black Horse Lane. I also hope to join any ongoing township efforts made in the interest of mental health. The New Jersey Healthcare Quality Institute ranks New Jersey's cities and towns' efforts to improve health and wellness in their communities. In 2023, South Brunswick made a list of towns to watch. Maybe in 2025, we can make the Healthy Towns list. Thank you.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
What we do is the chief, if you...
Can I have that document by any chance? And I will make some calls, and obviously we could do something.
I will add,
When I heard that you were going to be here,
Yeah,
I knew I had to speak.
no, I'm happy to. Can you just write your number down and everything, and we're doing a safety patrol with them. We're supposed to have some kind of grant, but while certainly I'm going to make these requests
Thank you.
for the signage.
Can I come?
Let me try on the phone first. But yes, you can.
Captain Angelo.
All right.
I will add, I'm Neil Mealy, Matthew's father and Tracy's husband. That fence that she mentioned, if you're not familiar with it, starts about 3 feet off the ground.
I forgot my cards, but I'll be.
If they don't fix it, we will.
There's nothing to stop anybody from
Just reach out to the manager's office. Chief Hayduka is here for Mr. Bidlack and Chief Hayduka, of course. And those physical improvements will be funded through the municipality. We have a catch-as-catch-can relationship with the federal agencies. They're like the Wizard of Oz. You know that. We'll bring this to Congresswoman Coleman's attention, particularly her staff. The staff usually runs the show.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, I've been sitting up here for longer than I should. You're very courageous.
Thank you.
And also, we'll touch base with Mike Rakes, too. See if you can go out and look at it.
Yeah, I'll personally be on this tomorrow, and, I mean, the signage is nothing, the fence, we as a town can't get them to pay for it, how much could it be? It's the least
actually-
we can do.
We actually put up our own one sign. You'll see right where the turnoff is up Black Horse Lane.
We employ a social worker, Dawn Neglia, and I encourage you to reach out to her in terms of the verbiage of such signage.
Sure.
I'm a civil engineer by trade, so I don't have any expertise in it. She does. And so if you'd have a conversation with Dawn relative to the verbiage of such signage, we'll get it done.
I thought it had to be Amtrak, and I thought, well, I'm gonna.
It
I have
does,
several-
but it's like talking to the Wizard of Oz.
When we've talked to them, they've said, you can't go there, don't trespass. Well, we're talking about something on the outside, not
Yeah.
climbing under the fence.
Yep.
As our French cousins say, peut-être oui, peut-être non. Maybe yes, maybe no.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have nothing to add, but I think you are very, very brave.
Thank you so much.
And I'm sorry for your loss.
We're heartbroken. Absolutely heartbroken. It's just terrible. But thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, Tracy.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? No.
That's tough to follow. I'm
Sorry.
sorry. I'm Mark Smith. I live on 979 Ridge Road, just right next to the Princeton Nurseries, where you're going to be discussing about an adjustment of the zoning ordinance for data centers at the Princeton Nursery site. So, I'd like to state that myself and my wife are objecting to the adoption of this zoning ordinance because the new zoning and data centers is inconsistent with the township's master plan. The master plan does not call for this intense development, but seeks to maintain natural and historic areas. The Princeton Nursery site is part of the historic district and feeds directly into the natural and preserved areas and borders and drains to multiple waterways and wetlands. The state plan also provides that our objective should be to protect natural resources and reverse the current trend of sprawl. In addition, I object because the ordinance is spot zoning, because it is designed to protect the developer in the event that the redevelopment ordinance is overturned by the court. The proposed use of data centers is a highly intense use, contrary to the long-standing more than 100-year use of the site for low-intensity agriculture and related activities. The data centers will potentially occupy virtually all of the site with industrial noise emissions from cooling units and various other features. Further, an entire ecosystem has evolved on this property that will be destroyed if the new use is constructed. In addition, the presence of such massive structures directly behind homes will impact the quality of life that we and our neighbours enjoy in this district and will negatively impact the value of our homes. Finally, the loss of a beautiful open space with meadows, woods, natural features and historic natural features such as the windrows that are more than 100-year-old, thereabouts, will be a loss to our community. So for these reasons, my wife and I respectfully object to the adoption of this new zoning use and ask for the council not to grant this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. If I may, through the mayor, the rezoning isn't a protective measure for the developer. It's when we did the redevelopment plan on that property, the one thing we heard loud and clear from the folks in your neighborhood, Kingston, was a distaste for distribution warehouse. And so warehouse is now prohibited. Data is included. It's not spot zoning because the parcel is so massive. I would like to, every time I got up to the plate in my life, hit a grand slam home run. But sometimes there's nobody on base and you just have to settle for a double off the wall. And so it's a compromise. Everything's back and forth. And so that, I think, is what our discussion with the folks in Kingston reflects, and our discussion with the folks who own the property. Now, the property is the remainder of a much larger property that remains from an ancient, in government terms, an ancient agreement between the municipality and Princeton University. Princeton University relieved themselves of half of the property, but the other half of the property they gave to mutual ownership with the Township and the state of New Jersey. We call it the Mapleton Preserve now. I know you are. Believe me, I've heard of you. You got big footprints. And so there's a back and forth. It's once upon a time, I used to think that once I got up here, it'd be a my way or the highway proposition. It isn't. And so we're doing the best we can to get a felicitous result for the people of Kingston, but agreeing with those ancient agreements with the people that own the land. Property rights in the United States of America, there's a good history of the laws of the land protecting property rights. So we're doing our best. Take my word for it. It's not perfect, I know.
That's all right. Just stating my case to make it on the record for future.
The one thing I always say, Mr. Smith, is the First Amendment to the Constitution. First Amendment, right for free speech and the right to address the government with concerns. And that's it.
It was a wonderful thing becoming an American citizen. I got to learn a lot about all the amendments and the Constitution. It was fantastic.
Teach the kids that are growing up here now, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Seeing no one, is there a motion to close the public portion?
I'll make a motion that we close the public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Mayor, next on the agenda, we have the minutes. There are two sets of minutes. We could take the first one first, which is for the regular meeting of the regular Township Council meeting held on Wednesday, August 21st. And just for the record, Ms. Hockman was out. Is there a motion to accept those minutes?
I'll make the motion to accept the minutes.
A second.
And a roll call. Mr. Bierman?
Yes.
Ms. Grover?
Yes.
Ms. Hockman?
Abstain.
And Mr. Carley?
Am I allowed to vote?
Yes, you're allowed to vote.
Well, tell me how to vote. Yes.
The second set of minutes are for the work session of the Township Council on Wednesday, September 4th. And everyone was present. Is there a motion to accept those minutes?
I'll make a motion that we accept those minutes.
Second.
And a roll call. Mr. Bierman?
Yes.
Ms. Grover?
Yes.
Ms. Hockman?
Yes.
And Mr. Carley?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Next on the agenda, we have reports. We'll start with Mr. Hayduka, Chief Hayduka.
I've been filling in for the manager for the week. I'm the deputy manager normally, but when he's out, I guess I am the manager. It was a very quiet week, and Brian did not give me much to report. So that's all I have.
The chief's first action as the manager is he suspended me as mayor and promoted Ken.
I don't know if I could do that, but yeah, we'll say if I did that.
Mr. Capasano?
Mayor, Council, just an update on our Mindale open space purchase. Pleased to announce that we should be closing October 23rd, which is a little bit more than a month. It's going to add about 200 acres of open space to the township's inventory. And I just wanted to give you folks all a heads up on that because it's been about an 18-month slog to get through all of the due diligence. But we are now coming down the home stretch and anticipate to cross that finish line next month.
Good, great, good news, Tony, thank you.
Thank you. I have no report, Mayor. Move on to Ms. Grover.
Okay, I do have a little bit. Actually, I was honored and privileged to attend the Veteran Street Naming Dedication Ceremony for John Duca, who was a veteran war. Who was
Vietnam.
Korean
Oh,
War
Vietnam
veteran.
first.
Yeah, it was very well attended. A lot of people came from the town, and it was very well attended then. And also, I attended the health camp, which was held in Durga Temple on 27. I want the awareness for the Human Relations Committee that we exist. We provide the information, and our police department takes over after that, if anybody have any concerns about it. And also attended the Cone with Cops along with my deputy mayor, Mr. Ken Bierman, and our township manager, Mr. Brian Bidlek. It was also very well attended. A lot of kids came out and had a chit chat with the police officers. And I also have one information that from the senior center, their friends picnic was supposed to be held tomorrow. Because of the weather, we are postponing it to next Monday. Please come and join us and enjoy the picnic. The food is provided, but you have to be a member of senior center and the friends. And also a health wellness fair will be held on September 26th from 10 to 2 p.m. Please register yourself. There is a free screening going on for a lot of diseases. Please come and join us. Thank you, and that's my report.
Ms. Hockman?
I have a report about the the health department, and that is that we are doing CPR training. This is not for certification, but it's to let people in our community learn CPR. If it's ever needed in your home or you're out, you can, at least you know what to do. If you're interested, please contact the American Legion on Major Road. They are holding quite a few of our events there. And sign up, it's free. And you'll get materials even when you leave to remind you of what to do. So please, if you're interested in learning CPR, this is the time to do it. We happen to be very fortunate in that we received a grant so that our whole town would be able to be trained in CPR. Also, we have 2 more events starting. One has to do with emotions, and that's going to be starting September 20th at 9:30 in the morning to 12:30. And the person to register with is Sand Hills Wellness Center. You could give them a call. The first one is generational and cultural influences on trauma. This is for people who just are having a little bit of problems dealing with their emotions. And there'll be 5 altogether, ending with grief and bereavement on December 11th. Also, we'll be starting a nutritional workshop. I don't have the date exactly yet. It needs to be determined, but that'll be starting very soon. And you can look into the South Brunswick line on online through the health department, and you'll be able to register there. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mayor?
My turn. Thank you. It's beginning of the school year, so I try to avoid the roads during school bus hours, like all of us do. Over the weekend, the American Legion had a pancake breakfast. American Legion has a new commander, Jimmy Chu. He's a great guy. Gary Cooper isn't going anywhere, but Jimmy Chu's in charge now. And so that's a good thing. And then St. Cecilia's had their parish picnic on Sunday also. And Father Charlie is a gift to the town. As Councilwoman Grover said, she touched on Joe Duca's sign. Joe Duca served first in Vietnam, and then he served at the DMZ in Korea back in the early 1960s. And it was a joyful event. There was 150, 200 people out there. We really messed up the intersection of New Road and Ridge Road, but it was good. It was joyful. In the same vein, coming up on this Saturday,
11 o'clock.
At 11 o'clock, we'll be celebrating the service of Ray Dosher of Kendall Road. Ray passed away some time ago, but his brother Dutch still lives on New Road. And we'll be at the corner of Kendall Road and Hodge Road at 11 a.m.
Yep.
To honor his service in the United States Army Air Corps in the Pacific Theater back in World War II. And it's been a good week.
Yep.
I was a little bit frightened though. I saw that Campbell Soup was the headline said Campbell Soup is changing its name.
Yeah.
It's just a corporation. So I ran out and got a bunch of tomato soup cans. And that's about it. It's a quiet time in South Brunswick.
It is. That was good. It was a good time. You were right. The VFW had the golf outing on Monday also. And I just want to add one more thing because everybody's touched on it. The Cone with a Cop was a wonderful event. And what that does is gives the elementary school children a chance to see police cars, interact with policemen, see what they do, talk to them, and just it really engages the children of our town and the police so that they're not afraid of them because we need to work hand in hand to become a better community, and that's a great event. And Madam Clerk, that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Next on the agenda, we have ordinances for first reading. We have 6 items here tonight. The first one is ordinance number 2024-22. This is amending and supplementing Chapter 62, Land Use, Article 6, Stormwater Management of the Township Code of the Township of South Brunswick. Is there a motion to introduce ordinance number 2024-22?
I'll make that my motion.
Second.
And a roll call. Mr. Bierman?
Yeah.
Ms. Grover?
Me?
Ms. Grover?
Yes.
Ms. Hockman?
Yes.
And Mr. Carley?
Yes.
Thank you. The next ordinance for first reading is number 2024-23. This is amending and supplementing Chapter 62 Land Use, Privately Owned Salt Storage of the Township Code of the Township of South Brunswick. Is there a motion to introduce ordinance number 2024-23?
I'll make a motion that we introduce ordinance 2024-23.
We have a motion, a second, a roll call. Mr. Bierman?
Yes.
Ms. Grover?
Yes.
Ms. Hockman?
Yes.
And Mr. Carley?
Yes.
Thank you. The third ordinance here tonight is number 2024-24 of the Township of South Brunswick in the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, authorizing a special emergency appropriation pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-53 to fund contractually required severance liabilities. Is there a motion to introduce ordinance number 2024-24?
I'll make a motion that we introduce ordinance 2024-24.
I'll second.
And a roll call. Mr. Bierman?
Yes.
Ms. Grover?
Yes.
Ms. Hockman?
Yes.
And Mr. Carley?
Yes.
Thank you. The fourth ordinance is number 2024-25. This is amending and supplementing Chapter 114, Utilities of the Township Code of the Township of South Brunswick regarding equivalent residential units, ERU, charges. Is there a motion to introduce ordinance number 2024-25?
I'll make a motion that we introduce ordinance 2024-25.
I second.
And a roll call. Mr. Bierman?
Yes.
Ms. Grover?
Yes.
Ms. Hockman?
Yes.
And Mr. Carley?
Yes.
Thank you. fifth ordinance here tonight is number 2024-26. This is approving the application for long-term tax exemption and authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with AST South Brunswick Urban Renewal LLC concerning the property known as Block 98, lots 2.013 and 2.02, commonly known as 4315 US Route 1 and Campus Drive. Is there a motion to introduce ordinance number 2024-26?
I'll make the motion that we introduce ordinance 2024-26.
Second?
And a roll call, Mr. Bierman?
Yes.
Ms. Grover?
Yes.
Ms. Hockman?
Yes.
And Mr. Carly?
Yes.
And the final ordinance here for first reading tonight is number 2024-27. This is amending bond ordinance number 2023-27, finally adopted September 26, 2023, by the Township Council of Township of South Brunswick in the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, in order to provide for changes therein. Is there a motion to introduce ordinance number 2024-27?
I'll make a motion that we introduce ordinance 2024-27.
Second?
And a roll call, Mr. Bierman?
Yes.
Ms. Grover?
Yes.
Ms. Hockman?
Yes.
And Mr. Carly?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Next on the agenda, we have ordinances for second reading. They're here for a public hearing and final adoption. We have one item on the agenda. Before we move on to the public hearing, I just wanted to give an update on this particular ordinance. I was advised that due to the planning board cancellation of their meeting, we weren't able to get a recommendation from them, so we're going to ask you to table this ordinance. However, because it was already advertised for public hearing, we'll open the public hearing, have that, and then we'll continue it to the next meeting and then table the ordinance.
Okay.
Okay. So is there, so this is, again, is ordinance number 2024-21, which is amending and supplementing Chapter 62, Land Use, Article 4, Zoning, Division 3, District, Subdivision 29, OC, Office Corporate District. Is there a motion to open to the public?
I'll move that.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Is there anyone wishing to speak on ordinance number 2024-21?
This is your thing, Laura.
Can I get a second bite, Jerry? So what I understand is it's.
You had to come up.
You gotta,
That way it's recorded.
So I guess it's not being voted on tonight. It'll be one of the next meetings or so.
tabled.
Yes.
All right. That's it.
Our planning board showed its humanity. They dropped the ball.
Fortunately, I'm there to pick it up, hopefully. See you.
Okay.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Mark.
Good night.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on ordinance number 2024-21? Seeing no one, is there a motion to close the public, I'm sorry, seeing none, is there a motion to continue the public hearing on to the next meeting of October 2nd?
I'll make that.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Ms. Hockman, Mr. Carly, on continuing the public hearing to October 2nd. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. So at this point then, is there a motion to table the next reading on ordinance number 2024-21 to the meeting of October 2nd?
I'll make a motion that we
Table it?
table it.
And we have a second by Ms. Grover and a roll call. Mr. Bierman?
Yes.
Hey, we're good.
Ms. Grover?
Yes.
Ms. Hockman?
Yes.
And Mr. Carly?
Yes. No, you're
Thank
slow.
you.
Trigger finger. You gotta be
Next
snappy.
on the agenda, we have the new business consent agenda. We have items number 1 through 11. Is there any item anyone would like pulled?
Hey, can we pull item 6, please?
Anything else?
Everything else is fine by me. How about
All good.
everybody
good.
else?
Good?
Good? Okay.
Okay, if we can have a motion then to adopt items under the new business consent agenda, items number 1 through 5 and 7 through 11.
I'll make a motion that we accept 1 through 5 and 7 through 11.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Carly?
Yep.
And a roll call. Mr. Bierman?
Yes.
Ms. Grover?
Yes.
Ms. Hockman?
Yes.
And Mr. Carly?
Yes.
Thank you. So the final item from the new business consent agenda is number 6. This is a resolution recognizing Raymond E. Dosher for his service to our country, ensuring freedom for all.
You want me to read it? You ladies want to read it?
No, go right
I can
ahead.
read it. This is just a resolution recognizing Raymond E. Dasher for his service to our country, ensuring freedom for all. Whereas the Township of South Brunswick Veteran Street Sign Program allows Township residents who are wartime veterans to be recognized by adding their name on a secondary street sign to an existing municipal road. And whereas by adding names of local wartime veterans to public street signs, we hope to promote public awareness of those individuals and show our appreciation for their outstanding contributions and service to our country as a member of the United States Armed Forces. And whereas eligible military candidates for this honor include honorably discharged veterans, having served in military departments as defined under the Department of Defense, which include Department of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and the Coast Guard. And whereas wartime veterans are individuals who served in active military force during a period of armed conflict or who received the Armed Forces Expeditionary or other campaign service medals during an emergency condition, including those who died in the line of duty in the active military forces. And whereas Raymond E. Dasher has been selected to be recognized in the Veteran Street Sign Program, whereas Raymond E. Dasher was born in the Bronx, New York on February 12, 1920, and resided in and was one of the first residents of Kendall Park, New Jersey. Whereas Raymond E. Dasher enlisted into the United States Army Air Force during World War II on September 1st, 1942. He was part of the 870th Bombardment Squadron and completed the Anti-Aircraft Machine Gun Training Course on the 4th Anti-Aircraft Command. And whereas Raymond E. Dasher achieved the rank of sergeant and served in the United States Army Air Force until his honorable discharge November 24, 1945, with outstanding leadership and courage, receiving the World War II Victory Medal, the Asiatic Pacific Service Medal, the Good Conduct Medal, the European African Middle Eastern Service Medal. So now, therefore, we, the Mayor and Township Council of South Brunswick, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, do hereby recognize Raymond E. Dasher for his distinguished service to our country, ensuring freedom for all. Thank you. That was my neck of the woods growing up, Hodge Road.
And so is his part of the Bronx. He's a Webster Avenue boy.
He's a Webster Avenue guy. Like my
I'm
mother
a
and
Baychester
father.
Avenue
Yep.
boy.
Yep. So, after reading that, I'd like to make a motion we accept that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Hockman, and a roll call. Mr. Bierman?
Yes.
Ms. Grover?
Yes.
Ms. Hockman?
Yes.
And Mr. Carly?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there a motion? Next on the agenda, we have our second address from the floor. Is there a motion to open to the public?
I'll make a motion that we open to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak? Come on up, please, and just state your name for the record.
Hi, Mike Haverdansky from Heathcote section of town. So I didn't know whether it was the first section or the second section to talk about, but I see where one of the agenda items was to introduce the budget.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've been asking for a while as to where the budget is, and I went and looked back, and from what I can find, the budget should theoretically be submitted somewhere in February and then approved in May or June. And when I go back and I look at the history, it's always been that way. With the exception of last year, the town, it was the latest it had ever approved the budget was July. I don't remember what year that was. And then last year, the budget wasn't approved until it was, submitted in August.
Did you get a copy of the draft of budget?
I will, yes. So.
I have it right now.
So my question is, last year, the fact that it strayed as long as it did, from what I understood, the reason for that was because we were awaiting a waiver from the state to be able to exceed the cap. So my question in regards to the budget this year, is that the same reason for the delay? And if so...
If I may interrupt.
Sure.
Yep.
Different reasons, but with the same agency, the Department of Community Affairs.
Yep.
If we zig or zag, we have to say, excuse me, sir, like Morgan Freeman in Shawshank Redemption. Excuse me, sir, can I zig? And they say, they consider it. We have to take a meeting with them. then typically they say, yeah, you can zig. But then if we want to zag, excuse me, sir, can I zag? And so there's a lost leader in terms of time. It doesn't behoove us, if I'm taking off my government hat and put on my politician hat, to announce a budget in October or November.
No,
For
understood.
obvious reasons.
No, and I clearly, and I talked to them.
I know.
I talked to the community affairs, and they didn't really give me a reason other than that we were late.
No,
And-
we've been talking to them throughout the year,
Yep.
and that's fine. It's government. And government doesn't have a big G; it has a little g. But our numbers, what our appropriations are here. You can have a copy of this. You
Sure,
can have you can have my copy. I'll
I
give another
assumed it
copy.
would be on the website tomorrow.
Yeah.
No?
It's government with a little g.
I'll take that then.
Yeah, thank you. And whatchamacallit, the long and short of it is it's my understanding from talking to the manager and the CFO, we're reducing appropriations, not by a ton, but marginally, because we have respect for what's going on the school side of your tax bill, right?
Yep.
I think a lot of us got love letters over the last week, right?
My taxes went up $700, and I didn't.
Mine went
I
up
didn't know. I wanted
$888.
to know who to blame, and then, until
It's
we
not
get
us
the
yet.
Not us yet.
Not us yet. So it's so we're cognizant of that. No man is an island unto himself. The old poem went. So we're cognizant of that, and so we cut appropriations because we collect the money, and so they blame Ken for it, right? Because we're the guys that say, "Hey, give us the money."
No, I understand.
And so that there's not as much as we've warbled to the people, the taxpayers, our bosses, about us taking 15 to 20% of your tax dollar, property tax dollar, the county taking 15 to 20%, and the school's taking 60 to 70%, they will yell at the young ladies downstairs who collect the money.
No, I get it. I
Yeah,
do.
so-
I was just curious as to the reason for the delay, right?
Yeah.
Like I said,
There's-
all of the year, like I went back to 2014, and the budget was always done by June.
Yeah.
Last year
Government
was the
with a
first
little
time
J.
it wasn't,
Yep.
and that seemingly was because of the cap issue. And I was curious as to whether did we stay under the cap or did we need approval? Did we go over?
I think we're under the cap. We're cutting appropriations. We're not increasing.
Okay, I was just curious. Like I've been wanting
There's the
to
numbers.
know.
Those
you
are the
know.
exact numbers I've got, and I stole them
wanted-
from Josephine. So
It's like I said, mine went up $700. I needed to know why, or wanted to know why.
I got a love letter from my mortgage company. It's 888.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's just the school board, yeah.
And now with the elimination of the state and local tax deduction, right, the essential elimination, I'm going to have to earn $1,200 to pay my taxes, my additional taxes.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it. We're all living here.
Madam Clerk, do I have permission to do a gentle cuss? Ain't that a kick in the back?
Yeah, no, that was my question. So
Yeah. No, thank you. You're always thoughtful, Mike.
I can take that.
Yes.
It's yours.
No, thank you so much. I don't have to carry it out of here.
Thanks, Mike.
And it's good to have a guy like Mike around. Not too close, but he's an accountant by trade.
Is there anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Seeing no one, is there a motion to close the public portion?
I'll make a motion to close the public portion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda, we have the voucher list of September 18th, 2024. Is there a motion to accept the voucher list?
I'll make a motion that we accept the voucher list.
I'll second.
And a roll call. Mr. Bierman?
Yes.
Ms. Grover?
Yes.
Ms. Hockman?
Yes.
And Mr. Carley?
Yes.
Thank you. And there is no executive session here tonight, so this is the end of our meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
It's a single
I'll make
motion.
that
No,
motion.
you're a triple motion.
A motion to adjourn.
Motion, and Ms. Hockman is seconding tonight. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
And thank you, everybody,
Motion
and
carries.
good night.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.